Hi there, it's Sam from Pootles.co.uk. Thank you very much for joining me today. Today's project is this one. It's a simple card. I don't make cards very often, but I made a card with Oliver recently. Now, Oliver's only 9 years old, and we had great fun with the new Blossoms in Bloom stamp set. And then we decided we were going to do some watercolouring. So the card I made came out on my blog a couple of weeks ago, and we stamped everything. And then I said, do you want to do some watercolouring and some splatting? So he said yes, and this is what we came up with. So I'm going to show you in two parts, but I'm putting it all together, how to do this. So I've got some watercolour paper, and this is ours. This is one of our full-size sheets, and I've got my water spritzer, and then I've got 3 re-inkers. Now with this one, I used mint macaron, Highland heather and balmy blue to get my 3 colours. The one I'm going to die cut in a minute because it's very, very dry. 3 different subtles. And these ones I've got here, petal pink, so saffron and soft sea foam. Couldn't think of the colours. But whatever you do, pick 3 colours that will work together. So I've got my watercolour paper, and I'm going to soak everything because, you know, that's what I do. So I'm wetting this. So this has got a really fine mist, very fine, but it's enough that it will get you, get your cardstock or your watercolour paper nice and wet. So I'm going to put that all over, and you can see it's beginning to bow. You can see from the shadows here. And if I just tilt that in the light, so, I can see where it needs to go. So that's, we've got a real curve going on there. That's absolutely fine. You get a nice effect with that. So I'm going to pop that away. And my 3 inks. And I'm literally just blobbing bits. So that's obviously quite an open hole on the petal pink. And then blob some more with So Saffron, and then fill in the gaps with my soft sea foam. And if you feel you need it, come back in again with your spritzer, and essentially now you just leave that to dry. Now you can cheat and do what I do and grab a couple of tissues. These are really tiny tissues. I'm going to have to show you my tissue box. This is one that fits in a car holder, in a cup holder in your car. So these are designed specially for that. But when lockdown happened, I couldn't get any for love nor money. I couldn't get any tissues, so I got them. Not the cheapest. And you go like that. Oh look, that's just created a nice effect. But you blot off the excess, and then you can dry it with a heat gun or anything like that. If you feel you've got too many splushes, you come back in. I'm going to put some more of this one. Anything you fancy, you just have fun and play. Right, I need to blot that off. My boys are downstairs eating dinner at the moment, and they've got the telly on, and I'm not convinced that they're going to remain completely quiet. So let me just move that lot out of the way, because you know what, I was very sensible and prepared one before. Oh, I forgot to do the other part. Let me bring that in again. I didn't do it on this one. What I did was I just left it like that, and then I came in with my Wink of Stella and just coloured the centres. But I thought, I wonder what will happen if I just splat. Oh, let me just make this wet again. Wet that up again, and I've got my Wink of Stella, and I'm going to waste some. No, I'm not. I'm using it, and I've got the one that's running out. And it's meant to blob. We'll blob like that. Actually, that works quite well. But what you get when you blob it and then let it dry is that you get this shimmer all over it, that you can see it more in certain lights than the other. So this is the one I prepared earlier. It's been drying for a week, only because I haven't had a chance to film. It didn't need anywhere near that long, and that's because I didn't leave this one to dry quite enough, and I caught a couple of places where the watercolour cardstock tore rather than actually cut. Okay, so platform, clear plate, my cardstock, and then I'm not using the stamp set, I'm using the dies. So this is the many layered blossom dies, and you get one big block die, then you get a thin outline as well, so you can do the multiple layers. I'm just going with this one, and I'm going to lay it down, bring in my big shot, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn the whole lot over just so the die is upright, and I'm going to create a shim, and I hope that's big enough or wide enough. And I'm pretty sure that has cut through. I hope it has. I've moved it now. Yes, that's all cut through. So that looked quite a mess when it was like that. It wasn't pretty at all. But when you start popping out all of the bits that are not needed, you end up being left with this wonderful, delicate pattern that you couldn't possibly replicate with a paintbrush. Well, you might be able to if you're an extraordinarily talented artist, of which I am not. But you couldn't replicate this with stamping, and every single time you do it, even if you use the 3 same colours, yeah, it's going to look different every time. And that, I think, is gorgeous. And it's just going to go straight on a card with some mini glue dots that I've clearly covered up with something. Oh no, they're underneath my fan. Oh, I meant to show you my fan the other week in a video. Here's my fan. £6.99, Amazon. Desktop fan, it's a USB, so it plugs into, you know, what you charge your phone with, a USB. So, I meant to show you that the other week. Okay, so, mini glue dots behind the larger parts of the die cut. This was the other thing I found with my original one, because, I mean, it was dry. It wasn't dry enough really to cut, but it also didn't like having the glue dots put on, because it was, you know, the ink was still a bit wet, because obviously you can see it's come through on the other side. And I'm going to position that on there, and that, I feel, is enough. On this one I did on this one I did stamp down at the bottom, and I've caught it with the ink where I went like that with the tissue, but actually I think that's okay. You could put a banner sentiment, but this is what Oliver and I made, so I'm being true to him. So that's what we made, and I've shimmered it up this time. I still might put, yeah, shall I? I will. It's photopolymer, you can see through. Shall we go with Sure Do Miss You? Oh, I think that's lovely. And then this is Pear Pizzazz. That's far too big a block, it'll do. Pear Pizzazz ink. Simple. A lot of fun. Great one to do with small people. I have lots of small people. Like I say, Oliver and I were having good fun. It was pretty much 3 days after my pre-order had arrived, and we were just playing and we were splatting ink. I'll be interested to see what this one comes out like with my little splashes. Oh, if I don't throw it on the floor first. But I think that's lovely. That is so pretty. I really hope I can get that to come out true to life in photographs. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. Hope to speak to you soon. Bye.